This is Terrio Media.
You don't have a money problem, you have an idea problem. This is Turnkey Real Estate Investing, the show for busy people who want to invest in real estate but don't have the time or desire to take on the heavy lifting. And here's your cash flow savvy host, Matt Terrio.
Hello, and welcome. Welcome to Turnkey Real Estate Investing. This is real estate investing for busy people just like you. Now, if this is your first time here, glad you made it. Make yourself at home. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. Speaking of back, way back in January, a few months ago, I read an article from the Wall Street Journal here live on the show. It's episode number 81, to be specific. And the article in the show of the same title was 401k experts have changed their tune and it's impacting America. Now, the article was pretty enlightening for most people, as those that created the 401k are starting to see and admit that they messed up. It's a plan that's not panning out the way that they thought it would. Even the earliest champions of the 401k idea, the one of the original guys, he is in his mid-70s and still working, and he admitted at the very end of the article he's working because he has to. So the point of me sharing that article was really that the idea of saving money for retirement, it's a losing proposition. And in today's economic environment, almost impossible to do. I mean, the stats have been showing that for a while. I've been sharing those stats here with you for a while. And it was in this article where the creators of the 401k basically admitted that they made a huge mistake. They finally came to grips and saw eye to eye with the stats and were like, oops, we messed up. Now, if you have a 401k, that's fine. No problems. Doesn't mean you're in trouble. Just understand that you have to do more. And by placing a focus on creating streams of cash rather than saving piles of cash, like in a 401k, it's a much faster route to create the streams of cash, like cash flow and passive income, residual income. To go that route, placing your focus there on creating that, it's much faster and much more predictable. And you've got much greater certainty of it actually working. Then, if you want to put excess cash flow from after you've completed that, you've created your streams of cash, if you want to put the excess cash flow in a 401k type tax shelter, then go ahead and do so. That's fine. Let your cash flow build your pile of cash. Don't work to build your pile of cash to create your stream of cash. Did I say that right? Let your cash flow, right, your stream of cash, let your stream of cash create your pile of cash. Most people go about it trying to create this giant pile of cash so it creates a stream of cash. Just flip the equation around a little bit and it's much more faster way to go about it. And that's what I've been recommending here, right here on the show since the very beginning. First, build your cash flow to create your financial independence right now. And second, let your excess cash flow build your savings. Let your excess cash flow build your pile of cash, build your wealth. So that's a 10-year plan doing it that way. That's a 10-year plan for doing it for most people. And it's a 10-year plan that actually works, as opposed to the alternative, saving first and then cash flow second. That being a 40-year plan that might work. And it's not working for the vast majority. Like 95% of the population are failing at this strategy based on today's studies by the Department of Health and Human Resources. So, new article this past week in the Wall Street Journal that might even make my advice of using a 401k as a secondary investment strategy an obsolete idea, or not a very good one. There's probably other options out there that would be even better. So if you have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal over at WSJ.com, it's not a free subscription, but I subscribe to it. You can read it there for yourself. It's titled, Grab Your Pitchforks, America, Your 401k May Need Defending from Congress. Now, like I said, if you have a subscription, you can go over there and read it for yourself. If you don't have a subscription, I'll go ahead and I'll read it for you right here. So try and listen, though, past the political slant in the article. It's a little bit politically slanted, a little bit government conspiracy oriented, or maybe not even conspiracy, but it's focused on, I guess, some disparity between how Congress gets to retire and how we get to retire. But that's not the point that I want you to listen to. I want you to focus more on how this impacts your financial plan. Who cares about someone else's financial future? We care about yours. So listen in the context of you and in the context for why you're even listening to this show in the first place. Alrighty, so I'll just read from it loosely. Wall Street Journal by the Intelligent Investor. Title is Grab Your Pitchforks, America. Your 401k may need defending from Congress. And written by Jason Zweig. And this is on April 21st. So that's just, as I'm recording this, that was just, 3 or 4 days ago and this year. All right, so instead of penalizing retirement saving, lawmakers should be making it easier to set money aside. Instead of penalize, that makes sense, right? And so why would we want to penalize retirement savings? We should be making that even easier for us to do since so many people are failing at it in the first place. All right, so the lucky participants in one of the best retirement plans around are coming after yours with the meat cleaver. In the early stages of negotiating tax reform, Congress is already considering whether to reduce the benefits of contributing to a 401k and similar retirement plans, even as U.S. representatives and senators bask in the safety of the pension system that taxpayers fund for federal employees. Alongside several million U.S. government workers, members of Congress participate in the federal employees' retirement system, which wraps their current savings and future pensions in a cushion of comfort that most American workers can only dream of. Only about 13% of employees nationwide are covered by both a 401k and a traditional pension that assures stable, lifelong income, according to the Center of Retirement Research at Boston College. All 535 members of Congress are. In 2015, the average taxpayer-funded annual pension received by recently retired members of Congress was $41,316. A representative or senator retiring in 2014 after 30 years in Congress would earn an annuity of roughly $104,000 to $130,000, according to the Congressional Research Service. Retirement savers in the private workforce pay outlandish management fees that can exceed 1% annually on lousy investment choices. Members of Congress pay a maximum of 0.039% for funds that all but guarantee matching the market. We've talked about fees, right? We've talked about how a 1% fee, how it just seems so small, how that can significantly impact the growth of your retirement. And the difference here between the private workforce is 1% and more. And members of Congress pay a maximum of 0.039%. Fewer than 1 in 10 corporate retirement plans match 5% of employees' contributions dollar for dollar, according to the Plan Sponsor Council of America. Every member of Congress gets that match funded by the taxpayers. So you probably know somebody who has a job, right, that gets there's fewer and fewer these days, but gets a match from their employees, their employer, right? And that's let's see, just fewer than 1 in 10 corporate retirement plans match 5% of employees' contribution. So that's not even a full match. That's just a 5% match. And every member of Congress gets that match funded by you and me, the taxpayers. Even if a member of Congress won't set aside any of his or her own money, the public automatically contributes an amount equaling 1% of that legislator's salary to the federal retirement fund. Nearly all members of Congress earn $174,000 annually. A reliable retirement is a four-legged stool, says David Kabiller, co-founder of AQR Capital Management in Greenwich, Connecticut, and co-author of a recent article on how to design retirement programs. Those four legs are a traditional pension, a 401k type plan, Social Security, and supplemental savings in taxable accounts. Eliminate or restrict any of those, he says, and you make achieving a secure retirement more challenging. Yet, that is what Congress, perched securely on its taxpayer-funded four-legged stool, is considering for the rest of us. At a meeting with members of the Senate Banking Committee earlier this month, Gary Cohn, the director of the White House National Economic Council, discussed ideas that would remove pre-tax benefits from retirement accounts, including 401ks, and shift them to after-tax benefits, according to people familiar with the discussions. It wasn't clear how seriously the administration is evaluating any specific proposal, these people said. Some are confident change is afoot. In the next round of tax reform, it's not really a question of whether retirement plans will get a haircut, but of how much, says Bradford Campbell, a partner in the law firm of Drinker, Biddle, and Reith in Washington, D.C., who served as Assistant Secretary of Labor under President George W. Bush. That's because the money you contribute to 401k and several other types of retirement plans isn't subject to current income tax, nor are your future earnings on those accounts until you take them out to live on in retirement, when your withdrawals will be taxed as ordinary income. Now, if your retirement dollars were treated instead like contributions to a Roth IRA, or a Roth individual retirement account or a Roth 401k, they would be taxed before you put them in. You could ultimately withdraw the money tax-free in retirement, but the incentive of getting upfront tax breaks would be gone. Taxing retirement plan contributions Roth style would generate roughly $1.5 trillion over the next decade, the way the government reckons the numbers, estimates Mr. Campbell. So a giant pot of honey may be hard for Congress not to raid. Now, we definitely need comprehensive tax reform, says Mr. Campbell. Unfortunately, when lost revenue has to be replaced, it's a giant game of winners and losers, and the retirement system is poised to be one of the losers. It's hard for most people to save for a goal that glimmers faintly decades in the future. Take away the tax incentive, and many savers might no longer see the point of even trying. Fully 39% of Americans don't feel very confident in their ability to fund a comfortable retirement, according to a recent survey. It's safe to say none of those worried folks are members of Congress. Instead of penalizing retirement saving, lawmakers should be making it easier, perhaps even mandatory, as it is for members of Congress. For workers struggling to set money aside, says Mr. Kabiller, mandatory savings could help impose the discipline of giving up compensation today in order to fund your longevity down the road. At a bare minimum, if Congress is going to hack away some of the tax advantages of private retirement plans, it should make matching cuts to the cushy federal system. Those should be equal sacrifice, says Mr. Campbell. It'd be very hard for them to justify not doing that. If you have a pitchfork in your garage, keep it handy. Your 401k might need defending. Nick Timrose contributed to this column. If you'd like to write to the author, Jason Zweig, at intelligentinvestor@wsj.com, you may do so. And you can follow him on Twitter at Jason Zweig, WSJ. That's, his last name is Zweig. Alrighty, so there's a lot there. And take what you want from this article. Some of you might be a little bit enraged because Congress gets a better shtick than we get. But that's not really news, in my opinion. But what I really noticed and what I want you to notice are two things. Still, the powers that be subscribe to the idea of saving money is how one is to retire, of which clearly isn't working for the masses. I mean, it's dumbfounding to me that doesn't get mentioned ever. And two, even if it was your plan to save for retirement, it's likely to become even more difficult than it already is. So if retiring or even having the option to retire at some point in your life, if that's part of your life's plan, you've got to do two things. First, you have to take charge of your plan. The blindly throwing money at the stock market and hoping they know what they're doing, that's a strategy. It's based on hope. And I don't know about basing my future on hope. I want to have a little bit more control of that. So I'm going to advise you to take charge of your financial situation, and specifically as it relates to your long-term financial stability. Second, you have to change your plan's strategy from one of a saving mentality to a stream of income mentality. Stop focusing on the pile of cash, focus on the stream of cash. The difference between saving cash or creating cash flow. Now, how you do it, that's entirely up to you. I mean, whether you do it with our assistance or you do it on your own or you do it with someone else, doesn't matter to me. Just understand that you've got to do it. You just don't stand a chance unless you incorporate income real estate into your financial plan. And the more you do, the better off you'll be. Not to mention, the faster you'll be better off. So if you'd like to explore your options with zero obligation, I invite you to go to passiveincomeaudit.com to book a call with the cash flow savvy specialist. Go to passiveincomeaudit.com and they will help you there. If they can help you, they will let you know. And if they can't, they'll give you some great advice and some direction of where you can probably get that help. All right, so I will see you next week on another episode of Turnkey Real Estate Investing, where cash flow is king.
Does your money work for you as hard as you do for it? If not, no worries. You do not have a money problem. You merely have an idea problem. We're cashflowsavvy.com, and we'd like to share a new idea with you around income real estate that can transform your financial future and accelerate its arrival. Go to cashflowsavvy.com and download a free investor's package. Cashflowsavvy.com. You do not have a money problem, merely an idea problem. Cashflowsavvy.com. More ideas, less worries. Cashflowsavvy.com.